Have you ever worked with someone who wore such strong perfume or cologne that you knew they were in the office even before you even saw their face? I worked with someone who I think wore Axe body spray, and I knew he was there, even though he was behind a closed door in the next office over. I knew that his presence was there. It's because that smell permeated throughout the entire office. It wasn't just on his body, but it spread throughout the air and even permeated into the other offices around. Well, we see a similar thing happening in the book of Acts in chapter 19 here today with a man named Demetrius. Demetrius is a craftsman, and he is someone who creates these little idols for the Greek goddess Artemis. And in Ephesus, the town was built around this shrine to the goddess Artemis, a goddess of fertility. And as Paul is coming in and preaching the gospel, we see that this is going to really be a problem for Demetrius and his business. And so listen to how Demetrius talks to his employees in verse 25. He says, "Gentlemen, you know that our wealth comes from this business. But as you have seen and heard, this man Paul has persuaded many people that handmade gods aren't really gods at all. And he's done this not only here in Ephesus, but throughout the entire province. Of course, I'm not just talking about the loss of public respect for our business. Listen to his tactful approach here. I'm also concerned that the temple of the great goddess Artemis will lose its influence, and that Artemis, this magnificent goddess worshipped throughout the province of Asia and around all the world, will be robbed of her great prestige." At this, their anger boiled, and they began shouting, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians!" And a riot ensues, and it kind of devolves into this huge issue. Now, notice how Demetrius starts with the issue of the trade. You know, guys, we're going to lose business here if the gospel keeps going through Ephesus. But then he appeals to them on a more emotional level that gets them riled up and angry, and says, you know, we're worried that Artemis is going to lose her influence, and that what this town stands for, this temple and this shrine to Artemis, is suddenly going to be lost. And we need to protect that. And this is a call to arms. And he gets them all riled up. And in fact, the whole town gets involved. Now, going back to Axe body spray, what we realize is that when you trust Jesus and when you accept the gospel, it has to permeate throughout your entire life. It can't just be a head knowledge thing. It can't just be something that you believe and you kind of go on living the rest of your life as you always did. But it has to permeate into the deeper recesses of who you are. It has to permeate into your activities and what you watch and what you think and what you do. And so Demetrius sees that his trade no longer is going to be able to exist when the gospel is being proclaimed. Now, Demetrius is not a believer. I don't know if he ever became one, but I think it exposes the need for us to allow the gospel to permeate into our entire lives. There have been a couple of fantastic television shows that, as I was watching them, I realized, you know what, this so obviously pushes against the what I believe and the morality that the Christian faith purports. I can't keep watching them. And so, again, these are two well-known, well-produced television shows that I stopped mid-season and said, you know, because of my faith, I just can't keep watching this. That's what needs to happen. The gospel needs to permeate throughout our lives. And so I wonder, are there places in your lives where you feel that you need to make some changes because it doesn't align with the gospel? I can tell you that you just feel so much cleaner inside when you allow everything to line up with your faith. Just finished with one other example. Somebody that I highly respect just without breaking confidentiality, I won't say anything more, but this person was a musician, and he realized that once he came to Christ, he no longer felt like he wanted to be spending his time doing secular music in bars and things like that, but really wanted to focus his energy on building the kingdom. And so this person decided to ratchet back on his gigs and to focus more on his ministry into the church. And I know that God was honored by that, by the fact that he allowed the gospel to permeate into his life. So how about you? What changes do you need to make in your life so that it aligns with your belief in the gospel? Allow the gospel to permeate into every aspect of your life. See you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.